Good evening, Trump family. Welcome to Open Source News. Have a good night, everyone, and God bless you. Alright, the following is a collection of news from Patriots. Let's get into some good news. Something that the Navy did on the sneak. Trident Order Number 12 disqualified SEALs seeking religious exemptions from the GAP. CEO seeking exemption would be barred from training, traveling for deployment, and conducting other standard business, thus making them undeployable. Okay? Now we know this. In March, the Biden administration asked the U.S. Supreme Court to reinforce its job mandates to groups of Navy SEALs who remain on JAB, this honestly claiming it poses intolerable risks to safety and mission success. Then the Pentagon asked the Supreme Court to intervene after Judge Reed O'Connor granted a temporary injunction to a group of Navy SEALs from having to get jabs. We'll check this out. This Trident Order Number 12 has now been quietly cancelled by the U.S. Navy. Great work here by Zero Hedge. U.S. Navy quietly cancels VAC requirement order for SEALs. The U.S. Navy quietly rolled back Trident Order Number 12. In order denying religious exemption for the JAB, the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals in early 2020, the information has only become publicly available after a new filing in the case this week. They did it on the DL on the download, secretly didn't want to know what to do it. Because here's what's happened. They don't want to admit that they're wrong, that they were wrong, that they were honest, that they were tyrannical. So they're making these changes. So there's your Coney and mandates, but they're doing it quietly. Or as Biden would do it. They're doing it quietly, because they don't want to get caught. It only became available publicly because of a new filing. They had filed away and put on a thing that said this order rescinds reference A in its states, and were referring to reference A that was the Trident Order Number 12 on the GAPs. And they did this in a communication order that was circulate to the Navy back on May 23. But no one knew about it. But that's how they simply did it, that not letting anyone know what they're really up to. Crazy. Absolute nuttery. Jesse case, you still have little faith in the government. According to Inspector General of the Small Business Administration, $1.3 billion in virus relief funds went to applicants with foreign internet addresses. 41,638 loans were given to foreign applicants between March 20, 2020 and November 1-2021-3100. Were given to applicants in high-risk countries. But that's okay. We can trust the government to do the right thing. And let's end with this, folks. And now, the left. Joe Biden's DOJ is completely out of control, friends. What we are seeing is not normal. This isn't just a normal neutral pursuit of justice. This is the Democrat witch hunt on crack. This is, as I've been stating, the weaponization of federal agencies to attack Joe Biden and the DNC as political adversaries. How else could you justify this? FBI agents tracking down Mike Lindell, the MyPillow guy, and seizing his cell phone, the MyPillow guy. If this doesn't convince you that this whole thing is one massive sham, then I don't know what will. The FBI, the DOJ, is on a complete rampage, targeting anything and anyone related to Donald Trump, and they're using the most shady methods possible in order to do so. It's getting to the point where this whole thing has become comical, except it's really not funny considering the escalation of Gestapo-style tactics from the Brandon regime and the totally compromised DOJ and FBI. Let me give you guys an update on everything that's going on. And then, of course, let's have a conversation. We've got some stuff to get into. So let's roll the tape. Alright, folks, to the Brendan regime's war on MAGA continues. In fact, it escalates. MyPillow CEO Mike Lindell claims FBI surrounded his car and seized his cell phone. And while many people were claiming that the whole thing was a hoax, and it was just a publicity stunt, many reputable outlets have now confirmed that the FBI did in fact have a search warrant and did in fact seize his property. The New York Times reported that the search warrant that Lindell was served appeared to be in connection to Colorado County Clerk Tina Peters, who is under indictment on state charges related to allegations about a scheme to download data from election equipment after the 2020 presidential election. And so clearly, absolutely no one is off limits, not even the pillow guy. This comes after a week that they perp-walked Steve Bannon, and of course Steve Bannon made us aware that the FBI also raided the homes of 35 Trump allies. This is a full-scale assault, as I stated, on anyone related to Donald Trump, even the pillow guy. And again, in this situation, the allegation seems completely ridiculous and forced. We actually already have the Michael Sandel search warrant attachment B items to be seized. The physical cellular telephone assigned call number redacted information that Lindale cell phone and all records and information on the Lindale cell phone that constitute fruits evidence or instrumentalities of violations of 18 U.S. Code 1028 identity theft and 18 U.S. Code 1030 intentional damage to a protected computer, and or U.S. Code 371 conspiracy to commit identity theft, and or cause intentional damage to a protected computer. Those violations involving Tina Peters, Conan James Hayes, Belinda Nisley, Sandra Brown, Sharona Bishop, Michael Dell and or Douglas Frank, among other co-conspirators known and unknown to the government, the subject since November 1, 2020. Every single search warrant that we've covered the targeting of all these Trump allies and of course, Donald Trump included, it all just seems like one massive fishing expedition. They are trying to find something going after Michael Dell on the premise of identity theft and damage to a protected computer. Donald Trump being targeted over what seems to be a bogus allegation or accusation of destruction of classified documents. The accusations and the charges are all over the place. It seems to me the DOJ is trying to find any excuse, any witness testimony, any reason to launch an investigation, and then lead to a search warrant to get after and go after Donald Trump's orbit. There's no grand conspiracy with all of these charges, connecting all of the dots and connecting all of these people. It's just random subpoenas and random search warrants seizing people's phones with, I guess, the hope being just a Hail Mary, whoa, we found this massive bombshell in a text message, an email, or a file that gives them what they're looking for. This is an unprecedented moment in American history, a moment where the justice system and federal agencies have been politicized and weaponized to attack the current administration's political opposition. And of course, the timing can't be a coincidence. I watched him pull his video on the Michael Sandel subject. He made a great point how not only is it all falling right before the midterm elections, but how it's all being massively publicized and how it seems to coincide with Democrat messaging so well. Steve Bannon recently being arrested and the FBI doing a public perp walk with him, parading him in front of the media, getting all kinds of shots from every single angle. And that's the point that Tim Pool made. As Joe Biden warns of the extremist Donald Trump MAGA threat, you're gonna see all kinds of campaign ads showing Steve Bannon and probably Michael Dell and other individuals being arrested and fear-mongering campaigns being pushed about the scary criminal elements within Donald Trump's orbit. It can't possibly be a coincidence, it seems all connected. It seems all choreographed MAGA Republicans in this criminal threat, despite the fact that not a single individual in any of these cases, in any of these situations, has actually been found guilty. I mean, what happened to the idea of innocent before proven guilty? And just speaking of being proven guilty in general, it's still completely unclear what the actual crimes here are. There's claims that Donald Trump destroyed documents, but we've seen no evidence to corroborate that. We've seen one picture from the FBI showing classified document folders. Not even necessarily documents, but just a bunch of folders laid out. And now there's this accusation involving Michael Dell have a conspiracy to, I guess, commit some sort of cybercrime with a Dominion voter machine. And the whole thing just seems ridiculous. What is the crime? And where's the proof? It seems like the search warrant is coming first, and the investigation is following. Generally, I feel like it should be the other way around. You find actual evidence of a crime, and then you apply for a search warrant and seize the evidence. In this case, it's a search warrant to find something to investigate to then try to make it stick. This whole thing is getting completely out of control. They're casting a massive net, a massive web in an effort to trap Donald Trump and Trump allies. Tucker Carlson did a little segment on it just the other day, and he raises some very important points and concerns. Everyone listen to this, Tucker Carlson said. It shocks the conscience of everyone who sees it. But the number of people who see it is very small because it is not covered by any media. And it's not just happening to me, Kramer. This show has obtained a subpoena for Merrick Garland DOJ issued in the past week, and what it demands is both unlawful and without precedent in American history. The subpoena claims to be investigating, quote, any claim that the Vice President and or President of the Senate had the authority to reject or choose not to count presidential electors. Now, keep in mind that any claim you make as an American citizen about electors, any claim you make about American politics, period, is protected explicitly under the First Amendment. That's our core freedom. It's why we live here. It's why we're proud to be Americans. It's why so many American servicemen died, protecting our country. Those are the freedoms that they fought to preserve. That's why nobody prosecuted leading Democrats in 2016 when they sought to reject electors for Donald Trump. Right? It's why none of those people, including Kamala Harris, is now in jail. But right now, according to a subpoena that we have obtained, Merrick Garland as DOJ is demanding all communication from the following people on this topic, and let's be clear, before we read their names, that it is not clear what the investigation is actually about. And that's the most terrifying part. What is this? On what grounds? Are you demanding my private communications with people? They never say there. Okay, seems to be severe abuses of power here, and Tucker seems to be asking the exact same questions. What exactly is the crime here? A president declassified documents or being in possession of his own documents, whether classified or not, first of all, to me doesn't seem criminal. And second of all, certainly in my mind doesn't justify raiding the home of a former president, and in relation to Michael Sandel and others, simply questioning or challenging the results of an election doesn't seem a criminal. It seems like something that is completely protected by your First Amendment rights. I am at a complete loss here. I mean, we are operating completely in the dark. And that seems totally purposeful. I mean, for Pete's sakes, the FBI told Michael and Dell not to tell anybody about the seizing of his cell phone. We have what seems to be a weaponized and politicized DOJ and FBI operating with zero accountability and zero transparency, targeting the current regime's political opponents, and they better come up with something legitimate, and something legitimate fast, because it's currently looking corrupt as all hell. Thank you very much. WWG1WGA. Give me your thoughts below and hit subscribe.